I love leather.
It's chock full of prototropes and tropes.
This movie is just such good fun.
Whoa. Safety douches wouldn't let you do
Forrest goes to Mars.
Hideous traps.
Whoa.
Doing the fucking Urkel, for Christ's sake.
Just sniped my nugget.
I said, whoa.
Whoa, dude.
It's the training. Right to the mic a second.
Broadcasting live from inside the power band, this is The Blah. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, the Wolverine, along with my two super friends, Chad.
Yo.
And this week, a special guest filling in for Jarhiga. We got Sylvester Stallone to come on the show. He's got a little bit of a cold, so bear with him. Welcome, Sly.
Yo, what's up? I got a little bit of a cold, so I hope you guys don't mind.
Do you think Stallone, gets out scissors and cuts up all of his pills?
He does, as a matter of fact, because those dosages, the doctors don't tell you this, but they're too high. You got to cut those pills. You cut them in half. You cut them in quarters.
Those dosages. I like how it's like Stallone's got a bit of a conspiracy theory bent on him. They don't tell you this shit. The doctors, they don't. It's all a conspiracy.
The doctors don't tell you this shit. But yeah, what you want to do is you want to start out with a quarter of an Advil first and see how that goes. And then if you're not feeling better, then you take another quarter. A lot of people, they bang two right out of the bottle. But if you want to do it right,
you're also kind of channeling the kind of let me tell everybody to eat healthy Cobra thing that he was doing in that movie.
Yeah,
yes,
totally.
Exactly.
If Cobra was a bit of an anti-vaxxer or something.
Kind of, yeah. It's like an extension of this is what Cobra would be now, right? So back then it was just like eating apples and shit, and now it's like, hey.
But nowadays he'd be balls deep in some fucking conspiracy theory Facebook group, and now he's a total anti-vaxxer.
Now he's all about cutting up his pills.
They use monkey blood for those fucking things. It's so bad for
just
you.
Gonna sit here and gonna blithely eat this apple here while I can't taste it though because my nose is stuffy. Yo, give me that box of Kleenex. Thank you. All right.
It's all good, man.
Do you reckon Sly cuts up his Kleenex with scissors too? I bet he does.
I do. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't know this, but your average Kleenex, your box will go a lot further if you cut your Kleenex in half because you really don't need the whole thing to blow your nose. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Mr. Stallone, I have one question for you before we start. I know it's been on the minds of our fans, it's certainly been on my mind, possibly on algorithms. When you cut a whole pizza, okay, do you use the scissors to cut the entire pizza or do you use a standard pizza wheel?
Well, I don't know about you. I don't know where you live or how they serve pizza where you are, but usually they bring pizza to me pre-cut. When I order pizza, are you saying when I make pizza? Because Sly doesn't make pizza. But, I got somebody that does that for me.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it, folks.
There it is.
Sly gets his pizza pre-cut. Fantastic insights from the mind of an acting legend. Let's get to today's topic.
Now that being said, your average slice of pizza is usually a little bit bigger than your average person needs to eat in one sitting. So I do like to take my scissors and cut the pizza up into smaller pieces. I take part of it and then I save another piece for later.
See, that's fascinating and very efficient. Very efficient. Wow. So we're so happy to have Sly with a cold here with us. This week, folks, we're talking about the 1994 Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, Bill Paxton film, True Lies, directed by the Taskmaster himself, James Cameron. This film was the first film to have a $100 million budget. So much going on here. Where do we start? Let's start with high level.
It sounds like a very, very brief pregame conversation about this. You guys weren't super pumped on it, so I'm really curious to hear a little bit more about that high level.
I don't know anything about that.
I mean, all denial all the way down when the record button's on?
No, I don't. I don't. I didn't say that I had a problem with the film. I just said I had some sort of garden variety gripes of Kev.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was digging it, man. It's very much like a snapshot of a mid '90s era action movie.
Listen, a lot of people don't know this, but Arnie stole this role from me.
That right there is a nugget, folks.
That's a rough break, man. It's a rough break.
I'm sorry, man.
High level. Okay. I remember really enjoying this movie. I really liked it. And this time, for some reason, it was a fucking slog to get through it.
Wow. All right.
It's the first part of the movie is great. I love the shit with Bill Paxton. But when they start gaslighting Helen this time around, I've just found it to be a bit cringeworthy, that whole thread. And then just the whole resolution of the movie really seems to take a long route around. Like, you know, by the time you get to the truth serum scene, nod to Ant-Man 2.
Ooh, yeah.
I couldn't believe how much of the, like, I looked at the, you know, the progress of the movie, and I couldn't believe that I was only about, like, maybe 2/3 of the way through, or, you know, 1/3 of the way through, as opposed to 2/3 of the way through. So it just seemed like a slog. Like, I had a really hard time not noping out through the whole end part of the movie. Maybe that's because I've already seen it and I know how it pans out. So that's sort of where I'm at.
I mean, look, firstly, this movie is really long. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, which in a sense is fantastic because we get plenty of time to flesh everything out. We've complained about various time stamps or various
run times.
Thank you. Right. The complaint about Idiocracy was that it was too short.
Exactly. So this movie is, you know, they had plenty of time. It might have been a little bit too long. Full disclosure, I was somewhat noping out when I was wrapping this up last night. So I did the bulk of my notes run. I only did one watch, and then I had, I don't know, half hour, 40 minutes to wrap up. I was definitely more interested in creating a new character in City of Heroes while this movie was playing than I was watching it.
Was it Horrors Do-Overs?
No, it wasn't, because I wasn't going to do that to you, man.
Yeah, right.
It was a character named Leather Smith.
He just makes belts for people, or what?
Oh, my God.
No. He loves leather.
I love leather.
Fair enough. I'm so disappointed in the two of you. Like, you're totally welcome to your opinions, but like,
can I finish?
It's a goddamn Arnie movie. Yeah, you can finish.
No, look, you can bitch about that in 1 second here.
You look like you've lost a little bit of weight. Let me, I've got my all right here. Let me put a new notch in your belt for you.
Exactly, man. You are 1,000% on target with exactly what I was thinking, Ben. Mustache, long coat, cowboy boots.
Does Sly want to chime in on your leather character, or can we talk about an Arnie movie?
Gotta get on the breathing, man. I think I might change my name on this show to Leather Smith.
Well, Leathersmith, what's your high level in this fucking movie?
I love when me and Jarhigo do a digression and Chad gets all upset about it.
Fair enough.
All right, so continuing my thought, I was watching the end of it, like Ben said. You know, there is something going on with the end. It's like all the parts are there and they're interesting, but it's just, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't hold me like it used to. So I echo those sentiments. At the same time, this movie is just such good fun, man. I mean, undeniably good fun. So taking away my feelings about that I had watching it last night, rather, I remember it being good fun, and it is good fun, and it's funny as hell, and the action sequences are great. So there's absolutely a lot to love here. As I said in the pregame, I do have some gripes of Kev's, so I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay. One of the kind of smart anecdotes that somebody had out there was that it's a blend of Arnie comedies and Arnie actions movies, which I kind of dug, because it really does have that kind of hybrid vibe.
Yeah.
And like most of his other big ticket items are like in the sci-fi genre, you know, like all the Terminators and Predator and Total Recall, et cetera, et cetera. So
fair enough. And I think the sort of the thing we're circling around, or I'll just pose the question anyway, is how does this movie age?
It's a fun movie. I like the movie. It's just this time around, like, okay, So if the truth serum thing wasn't enough, it's like you get to the scene where the bomb has detonated out in the ocean, and Arnie and Jamie Lee have have a kiss. I was like, oh, the movie's over, thank God. And then there's like another fucking 45 minutes, like a half hour or something, like afterwards. Like
exactly,
they could have just like the whole Harrier scene just like it just bothered the hell out of me this time. I was like, oh God, like what really, like you didn't have to go, like James Cameron did not have to go that epic, I don't think, in order for it to be a really fun and entertaining movie. Like, you know what I mean?
Agree.
I think they really went for it, and that's interesting because you don't necessarily see that with a lot of films, but it probably was like just an order of magnitude too much. Like they could have just toned it way the fuck back, and it still would have been a really fun, funny, and entertaining action movie.
I kind of don't disagree, but I like that he went for it. But
I know exactly what you mean, and I'm going to propose that if you have them kiss while the bomb goes off, and then they cut, and the next scene is them eating dinner, and then the phone call comes in, and it's Boris and Doris, and she goes, "We're on." That could have totally worked. And then the movie would have been just under 2 hours and possibly better.
Yeah, it could definitely use some tightening. And I don't know if I really thought that, on my previous viewings of the movie, but for whatever reason, this time it just was glaring to me.
Yeah, I agree. And
it just really stuck out.
I kind of disagree. I kind of hard disagree. I totally get where you're coming from. But I feel like if it was a cut to the dinner scene, I don't think we would ever really talk about this movie. It wouldn't have anywhere near as much of a resonance because, like, thinking about other movies of the era in the mid-90s, Speed came out the same year and Die Hard with a Vengeance came out the year later. And both are simpler action movies. Die Hard a little bit less simple than a Speed, but Die Hard wasn't as, like, balls to the wall. Like, this is very much a turn it up to 11 kind of action film. And I kind of feel like action comedy dialed up to 11 is what they were going for the whole time. So trying to simplify it kind of by definition is the opposite of what they were going for. And if you were to clip that last bit off, you might end up with a Die Hard with a Vengeance or, a more kind of normal action movie. So I don't know if James Cameron's ever going to do that. I mean, he spent fucking 20 years making Avatar, for Christ's sake. He's always like balls to the fucking wall. You know what I mean? Like,
the stories you hear about Titanic.
It's just he's either balls to the wall or he doesn't do it at all, So I don't know. I kind of just dig how full fucking throttle he went with this, especially considering the like practical effects and practical effects blended with digital effects. Like he was trying to break new ground. I kind of feel like that's his thing. That's what gets him going.
Well, I am not dogging Cameron. I mean, you're right. The dude is full on balls to the wall, and that's what produces so many excellent movies like T2 and Aliens and all these films that we love, right? Like Avatar.
But this isn't any of the, like, this is definitely below all of his other films, other than maybe an Avatar. But, like, maybe what I'm saying is a different director probably would have done what you guys are saying, and it probably would have been quite good. But I think for a James Cameron, like, this is always what we were going to get, I suppose. Maybe that's kind of what I'm vibing with.
All right, fair enough. Here's what I would love. This is what I would love to do. I would like to watch the original and then see where they went with the original.
What, the French one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So for all the folks at home that don't know this, I didn't know this either until we started noodling around with this for this week. This movie is based on a 1991. So that was just a few years before this came out. There was a 1991 film called La Totale. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. French film that was a spy action comedy. So I would love to see that and see where they went with it, because I'm kind of like, I respect what you're saying, Chad, and I get it, and I get the whole thing about Cameron's, but the more I'm sitting here and thinking about this, it still would have been a killer film if they had made that cut. God, I almost want to throw this movie into Premiere and freaking cut it.
Do it and see what it feels like.
Make a movie cut.
A lot of people don't know this, but I didn't know that.
What, the French film thing?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, right on.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I read the synopsis of the French one, and it looks like it's like word for word, other than the balls to the wallness. Like it finishes at a football stadium instead of like nuclear Armageddon, fucking Harrier jump jet, But the whole middle act of the film, the whole Helen character cheating and setting her up using company resources and all that stuff evidently is like taken straight from the French film. So it's kind of interesting that that was pulled directly across, considering it tends to be where people have a lot of problems with taking advantage of her character and stuff.
I feel like that whole section of the movie is like a different movie.
Yeah, kind of is.
Almost. Like it ends up departing from that so far that it almost feels like it felt like I switched movies like right after that. You know, like when they both get captured, like it totally changes to a different movie.
Yeah.
You mean when Arnold and Jamie Lee get captured?
Yeah. Right at the conclusion of the whole, he and Tom Arnold gaslighting Helen, the conclusion of that, they get captured, and then I feel like it really changes gears after that.
Yeah. I watched a old clip of Siskel and Ebert reviewing this at the time, and they both were like, Act 1 and 3 were great, but the whole middle section was fucking bullshit. So, like, they very much got that same vibe, so I definitely think you're onto something there.
Yeah. Wow, Siskel and Ebert.
They agree with you, bro. But I don't know. I kind of dug it. I like that middle section, but I totally get what you're saying.
Well, it's not that I don't like it. I feel like it's just a major departure from
right.
The conclusion of that first thread. It's like her finally realizing that he's actually a spy and them sort of reconciling, like just, that's sort of like how that arc finishes, but it really takes like a giant chunk of the movie to do it. And they don't spend a ton of time on the first part. So I feel like I remember a hell of a lot more Bill Paxton in this. I remember that whole thing being like, I felt like it was a larger part of the movie, and it's really just sort of like a footnote in there,
Yeah.
It's definitely a footnote. It's a step to another bit of the story.
Yeah. I guess, like, if there wasn't Arnie as a family man, then there isn't that resolution stuff. But as long as Arnie's a family man and the marriage is fucked up, it kind of needs to have something like that. And if Arnie isn't a family man, it's a Bond movie. So, I mean...
That's the point of the film, is the duality of the two lives that he leads. And I think sort of what we're talking about in this conversation about disparity gets a little bit mucked up. Because that really is the main story. Like, without that, there is no movie. Like, that's where the comedy comes from. That's where a lot of it comes from. Because, at the core of it, it's really a comedy first, and the action and all of that stuff serves the comedy, and it serves that part of the story anyway. It's like the whole duality and how was the convention, Harry? And he's like, go, I just love the computer business. And she's just like, I roll, blah, blah, like all of that stuff, man. It's like, that's really the core of the film. And
to do 680, you can see everything.
Yeah.
You know what the customer ordered before. You know what kind of discount he got.
The new model ordering system. So I think that the Simon part is like a stepping stone between the two parts, right? You've got the two worlds are the family life and the spy life, and he keeps them separate. But the Simon, he brings them both together, and then it becomes one congruous thread as opposed to two threads. And then there's the sort of the third thread, which is kind of what Ben had a gripe about, which is like the terrorists. It's like you think that we're all done with them, and then all of a sudden they're captured and they're on the island in the Keys, and then the nuke blows, and we think again we're all done with it, and then it's like, oh, now we got to take the Harrier and go save the kid, Yeah,
it's the blockbuster segment.
Exactly, the blockbuster segment.
That's interesting because that means that your argument for cutting out the last bit makes even more sense when it's comedy and relationship first, action second, which means like you don't need the last segment at all if it's a relationshipy movie. So like it backs that up even more.
Yeah, it kind of does. Like you can kind of see, Chad, like how that bit, like from the kiss on to the phone call at the very end, like that is like, I would argue without seeing the French film that is like the pure Cameron insert. You know what I mean? Like he put that in there maybe. I could be completely wrong, but...
Yeah, maybe it's just a good example of how often remakes don't really capture lightning in a bottle. Like it might get close. Like this is like prime time blockbuster Hollywood piss money at the wall bullshit, like this is
totally
just before the digital revolution and quite a ways before the comic book, epoch. So it doesn't surprise me that they went full Hollywood on it, but like, yeah, I definitely I definitely get a vibe of like the remake is not as good as the original in terms of what the original tried to capture. That's not to say the French one's better, but I just like it's kind of they're making a bit of a jambalaya here instead of like a singular vision. Maybe
Jambalaya. Yes, I like that jambalaya. Yeah.
I can't say paella because that's your shtick. So for me, it's a jambalaya.
Well, it's show stick, Chad. So you have license to put your hand in the bin if you like.
Not a lot of people know this, but if you want to make a good paella, you got it. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, where is he going to go with this?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Harrier scene really feels like a tack on, and it just gets like silly and slapsticky. It's like the whole part where like he tilts the plane and like Art Malik slides back and like slams his balls on the tail of the plane, and like getting hung up on the missile and the whole "you're fired" thing. Like it's almost like slapstick. It's like great 90s action flick shtick, but it almost goes a little too far, I think.
Dude, totally. As soon as he flew back and hit the airplane tail, I immediately said out loud, "Ow, my balls."
Ow, my balls. Yeah, totally.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That was a little goofy, man. Like in the sense that it didn't fit with the other comedy in the film. That was clearly from, and I guess, I'm guessing, but I'm saying clearly from, the original film, the French film.
Well, just to touch on that a tiny bit, like I didn't watch the film or anything, but I definitely kind of got Pink Panther-y vibes. Like it's a certain type of kind of comedy that it had like a bit of residue of.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the slapsticky stuff was way more in line with that.
Yeah, the "Ow, my balls" part was
only funny because we watched Idiocracy last week.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. Just like the whole thing, the guy's jacket gets caught on the missile, then he fires the missile. I don't know. No, I'm not into that.
I rolled. Definitely eye rolled.
Yeah.
But that's so 90s. It's like the perfect 90s thing.
Maybe it is, Chad, and maybe you're right. And maybe it's just that we've watched too many movies between this and now we're, or me, I am jaded and bitter. I don't know, and Ben too, but I don't know. Maybe you're right. I'm going to chew on that one for a second.
Yeah, I'm definitely making mouth noises that people would rightfully so think that I'm really shitting on this movie and that I hate it, and that's not really the case. But
you're just picking it apart a little bit.
It's just that on this particular watching, this is how it's played out for me, it's kind of disappointing. But at the same time, it's not like I walked away from it being like, I fucking hate that movie.
No.
I was just like, well, that could have been like about 45 minutes shorter.
Right. It's not like you're like, it's time to fly to L.A. and find the master and burn it, because this movie should never be watched again. No, I agree with you, man. It's like I said in the beginning. Don't get me wrong. It's just such good fun, dude. And that's what I want to talk about next. Is like all of that stuff.
Yeah, and maybe this ties into that, where like I feel like every time there was a bit that let me down, whether it was like not woke or stupid actiony or cheese dicky, like there were other bits that I was really pumped about. Like I have such fond memories of the bridge helicopter miniature explosion-y stuff, and like the classic was it Tia Carrere, is that her name?
Yes.
Yeah, Tia Carrere and Jamie Lee Curtis fighting in the limo, and it's just like I just love some of those sequences, even though they're very trope-tastic. So definitely a bit of good with bad in this one. Like the pelican landing on the truck bullshit, trope-tastic, whatever, but like there's like a lot of action set pieces that I really enjoyed, even if like the Harrier didn't land well, no pun intended.
All right, let's talk. Can we talk about that little section for a minute? Because I have a couple of notes on that section, and these are positive things, Chad. So before
whatever, shit on it. I don't give a fuck. I didn't make the movie.
Well, your eyes roll back in your head, embracing for a gripes of Kev. It's not that. So
$20 as we get to a gripe.
$20 says you're wrong.
We end up, but you're like, yeah, I mean, I like my note, but at the same time, fuck this movie.
I'm Mr. Positivity right now. All right. I absolutely. Okay. So this movie we just established that it's really a comedy movie first, right? And the action is part of the landscape that serves that comedy story, right? He does both really well, and you can't deny that. That's the thing about Cameron. Like, the comedy, I think, comes from the original film, and then the action greatness comes from Cameron.
And
Arnie, yes. But, I think you know what I'm trying to say. So,
yeah.
Like, that's my ramp up to one of my notes, which is when just the shot, the cinematography in this movie is so good. And when, they've got that shot of the helicopter and he's trying to get her hand and there's a lot of close-up shots and then they pull back after she like grabs the hand. And I got to say that when the camera pulls back, it's a stunning shot, man. It's like you see the chopper, you see the limo, you see their arms connected, and then it's like the limo just drops away. Her body doesn't move an inch. It's like the limo just drops away. The helicopter doesn't move. She doesn't move. And it's just a absolutely gorgeous shot.
Yeah, definitely.
And I just noted, it just jumped out at me. And I was like, wow, that is just gorgeous to look at, man. That was my thing there. And then the pelican thing, yes, that's been done about 1 million times in 1 million Bugs Bunny cartoons. But
yeah,
the great thing I think about that scene was that it was that guy. It was Aziz Light. Well, that's what I call him now. Right?
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Right, Chad?
Yeah,
so
I'm with you 100%. 100%.
I was like, there's something interesting going on here, but it was that guy because he kind of became like, I don't know if I ever noticed this before, but he kind of became the dude that like all of the calamities happened to. Like there was a lot of like, the paint can falling off the scaffolding and hits him on the head, and then he walks to open the door, and then the door hits him in the face. Like he was that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, from a comedy sense, as like a comedy character. He was kind of like the slapstick comedy guy that like every
Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, exactly. That every calamity happened to. So like when they're hanging off the bridge and he turns around and he's just like a funny guy, man. The actor was like a funny guy and he had a funny face, and the way he played it I thought was great. And he's just like, like we're safe. And then the pelican comes and it's like, oh shit. And I don't know. I didn't mind it because it was that guy.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you're right. It's such an ancient trope. It's like, really, dude? A bird?
But there's so many tropes in it that it's kind of forgivable, in a way. Like, if it was the only trope in the movie, it would have been the worst. But there's like 1 million tropes, so it's like, okay, fine, yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, and the fact that I thought that they ended it, that was sort of the swan song of that particular character. That's what made it. I thought what made it great. So those were my notes. No grapes.
I didn't realize that. Maybe I did, I don't know, but I didn't recall that Jamie Lee Curtis did that stunt, the helicopter stunt, which is pretty fucking legit. Which I think sells it. The fact that it was, not stunt doubles and probably a practical limo going into the ocean, like, really sealed the deal on that one for me.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And it's balls to the wall that Jamie Lee Curtis did that stunt.
Go ahead, Ben.
I was just going to add, and Jamie Lee is just badass.
Yeah.
She's just great.
It might be worth
Always was
using that as a segue to talk about Jamie Lee and the Helen character, because it's a pretty critical part.
super critical.
You were saying that you found it a little bit cringy, Benny, the like exploitation of her in some of the scenes and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah. Just I don't know what the French film was like. I imagine probably similar, because it seems like it's a pretty integral part of the film story wise. But just the fact that Harry and Albert were gaslighting her like that, and just putting her through all that stuff seemed cringy to me. I don't know. This time, like, I don't know if it stuck out as much to me before. I think it sort of did, but this time around, it really stuck out at me. The cringiness of that whole thing. I mean, it's one thing that she's sort of considering screwing around on Harrier or whatever, but handling it that way instead of just coming at her straight ahead, and it's like he decides to have play some games with her instead of like just confronting her about the whole thing. And I just found it to be sort of cringy.
Yeah.
And he was also using his considerable resources to, get information and one-up her in a way. And I agree with you. And I think that one sequence you're talking about, when they pull her into the room and the questioning and all of that, like, I agree with you. It's like there's something wrong with it. It's over the top. It's the gaslighting, whatever. But it's all, I mean, there's like one or two poignant moments in it, but I don't know. It's a little raw too, man. Like the poignant moments are good in their rawness, but then there's some other raw moments that I'm just like, why is this in here? This is super intense, like too intense. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Too intense for this movie, I think. And maybe that's what you're saying. That's what I was noticing, you know, but I mean, it was great when she was kind of like, you know, oh, I love my husband, you know, and like, it was very real. And that was like sort of the wrap up of it, you know, but like a lot of the stuff in between the beginning and that were just, I don't know. I agree. Unnecessary. Too much.
And there was evidently a lot of hubbub at the time about the same gripe, which is perfectly reasonable. Like, I completely agree generally. I guess, like, just to explore it for the sake of conversation as opposed to me arguing against your point, because I clearly agree that it was a bit shitty and certainly in the modern day quite sexist and shitty in that regard. If you were to imagine this whole movie as just like an extended SNL skit or like a super Pink Panther-y slapstick comedy thing, it would be a little bit more forgivable to have the characters be like super stereotypical, like stereotypical powerful dude who, you know, treats his wife like shit by like weirdly making her strip for him when it's not him, like all the really weird shit. And like cardboard cutout housewife who's like vanilla as fuck, but it turns out she is forced to become a badass and like becomes a spy at the end. Like, it totally captures that like Pink Panther-y, silly, stupid kind of police squad-y kind of thing. But like, because the action-y stuff was a little bit more serious and because it was like a blend of serious and non-serious, it kind of turns the tide against those scenes. You know, if it was just pure fucking slapstick comedy all the way, it probably would have been a lot more forgivable because like it's a joke the whole time. But
yeah,
because it wasn't that, like, I think that's where it fell down maybe.
Yeah, the tone of all of that just sort of skates this razor's edge of, you know, just it's such an integral part of the story. That whole exchange, that whole thing, like is really like the tee off for everything that's going on, you know. But just the way that it's handled. Yeah, it's like you said, something about the tone and seriousness of the action and all of that sort of changes the flavor of all of that. And it just didn't, it felt wrong this time around watching it. It
was all nearly like out of place in terms of like when you're talking about the tone, Ben, like you just said, you know, it's like it's out of place. It's too much. It's too much like a serious action movie. It's like they added in, you know, the little bits of comedy with Tom Arnold and Arnold, but I agree.
Yeah, it's almost like you said, Chad, if they had dialed back the stripper scene a little bit there, I don't think it would have been quite as cringeworthy, you know, because like, you know, Jamie Lee, when she like looks at herself in the mirror and she like tears her dress and like turns herself into the most badass, amazing, you know, Robert Palmer girl, you're like, all right, like she's like, you can see like there's like a switch that's turned in her and she's like,
she's owning it,
engaging, you know, and she's owning it. And then it like totally turns that on its head in the next scene because she's so vulnerable and it's like such a cringy scene, you know, like,
yeah,
it's kind of a shitty way for that to pan out. You know what I mean? To see her go from like that confidence to, you know, such a vulnerable and like embarrassing situation.
I thought you were just talking about the interrogation scene, and that's really what I'm on. I don't agree about the dancing scene. I feel like the comedy feel, like that Pink Panther-y kind of feel that Chad was talking about, is there for that. Like, I love how she rips the sleeves and the details off that hideous dress and splashes the water like she's making it work, owning it, and then she walks in there and it's like you could see her like kind of reverting back to Helen and then kind of getting a hold of Doris, and then she just starts owning it again. And then there's like the great comedy moment with the chip falls out of her cleavage and, you know, like Arnold drops the tape recorder and like, I don't know. I feel like that stuff was peppered in there enough to make it not awkward. Like, I definitely get what you're saying. And then, you know, the end of that scene it's very kind of, I don't know, really kind of anxiety inducing because you can see now that like she's like laying on the bed and she's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like,
that's the moment I think Ben was getting at.
That's where it goes wrong, really.
I see what you're saying. You're saying that like that shouldn't be in that. You know what it should have done? Oh, dude, I want to recut this movie. I swear to God. I
mean, I'm thinking about it now and the whole part where he asks her to dance and she starts sort of doing that, like, you know, spinning her hands thing. And
oh my God, it's so funny, man.
She's like doing the fucking Urkel, for Christ's sake. It's so good.
Exactly. But Ben, like, if you, okay, so take what you guys are saying into account, right? Like, you do the dress, the hair, like go in, you got the funny, but the thing falls out of the cleavage, like she's doing the dancing and all of that stuff. They should have had they should redo the cut so you get rid of the stupid bed part and the terrorists come in before any of that happens. So just take that part and lose it altogether.
Before Arnie gets fired. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes, exactly. So they bust in, like as he's still sitting in the chair before he says, "Now lie on that bed and close your eyes."
Yeah, exactly. That would definitely be a cut I would approve.
Exactly, because then you're going from like the comedy back to the action, and we're not having to deal with this like kind of like vulnerable in an almost creepy way moment. Wow, I am so glad we did this movie, man, because I am really just discovering all these things about this movie I never thought of, man. It's such a like a vulnerable in a creepy bad way kind of part, you know? Like, I mean, like for a woman, you know what I mean? Like lie on the bed, close your eyes, like you're practically naked. Like, Jesus Christ, I'd be scared shitless.
Like, not to go like turbo woke on this, but like clearly it's written from the dude's perspective. It's like,
yes,
the dude thinks he's being cheated on. The guy thinks he's being cheated on. He wants to like aggressively figure that out by bringing in resources. And then he wants to punish her. Interrogation scene, and then you know, the end of the interrogation scene is like, I still love him, tears rolling down her face, and Arnie's like, oh, she does still love me, well, let's give her what she wants. It's like, you know, like it's just objectifying and toying. It's stupid top to bottom.
Yeah,
exactly, Chad. But if you took that scene, the interrogation scene, and you either cut it out completely or you recut it to take some of the
just trimmed it,
just the fucking intensity out of it, man, it's like, then it is funny, because if you just forget about that for a second and you kind of cut, if you take the beginning where he's like kind of goofing around with Tom Arnold, and then it's like, do you still, you know, it was just, do you still love your husband? Yes, I still love my husband. And then he goes, let's give her what she wants. Like, then it's still light and it's like airy and it's funny and all of that. But I think what we're kind of discovering about this movie is that there's some parts in it that are just way too dark that don't need to be there.
Totally. Well, from Tom Arnold and Arnold Schwarzenegger's perspective, they're doing Helen a favor because it's what she wants. From Helen's perspective, she's in a room with a fucking stranger half naked. Like, from Helen's perspective, it's really fucked up. Like, that's the problem.
Exactly.
But if you'll allow the, like, you know, additional comment, like, I felt very much this way about the whole thing, and then read about Jamie Lee Curtis's feeling about it, and she, you know, she said that she was worked with Cameron on the strip scene, was super happy with it, and she says, you know, that there are a lot of female reviewers that praised it as an empowering moment, and then she also went on to say that without question it was the greatest experience of her professional life was working on this movie. So I felt a little bit differently about the Helen exploitative nature stuff once, like, I saw Jamie Lee Curtis's kind of view of her role in the film. So it kind of helped me not be so, you know, maybe struck by it this time around, if that makes sense. But it's still very much in line with what you guys are saying.
I saw it very much as an empowering thing as well. Like, I didn't think about a lot of the stuff that Ben brought up until this watch / us talking about it. But I always saw it as like empowering. Like, if you take Helen and if you zoom out on Helen, like, and you look at the entire sequence, like, she's playing this sort of mousy nerd, and then she just, you know, turns into this total badass, and she owns that, man. And we watch the progression of her owning that, like, through Simon and like the dance scene in the room and like all of this stuff. And I think it's great. So yes, I absolutely agree with that. Like, that's how I kind of always saw it anyway. And as a side note, I would like to say that I remember when this movie came out and like people would talk about Jamie Lee Curtis dancing in this movie, you know, in this like super revealing outfit, and how like amazing she looked, as opposed to how, quote, old she was. I used to hear that all the time. And so this time I looked her up, and I realized that she was 36 when this movie was made. I was like,
That's bananas.
I don't understand all those comments. Like, that's not old at all.
Well, I remember those comments, and it's probably because we were like 16 or something. So
you were.
I was. You guys were 36 too, I guess, but I was 16.
Nice one, dude. Touche. You got me on that one. That was great.
16-year-old me would have said the same thing, because 16-year-olds are stupid, but it was pretty mind-blowing to see that as well, that she was 36 in this. It's like, oh my God, that's wild.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my long-winded response to your question, Chad. What about you, Ben?
I mean, what can you say? Jamie Lee Curtis is undoubtedly very powerful and beautiful and sexy, and she owns it in a way that's very genuine. You know what I mean? She's not like... It doesn't surprise me what you said about that interview. Like, that doesn't surprise me. That seems like exactly the way she would be. And, I recalling now, I remember watching this with one of my exes, and I remember her talking about that particular scene and how awesome she thought Jamie Lee was, and, how beautiful she was, and how confident she was, and how she owned it, and how it was a very empowering thing. So, it's like I said, that whole sequence dances on a razor's edge for me, where it could come down on either side of it, but for some reason on this particular go around, something about it really made me cringe a little bit.
For sure, dude. I mean, you raised some super valid points, no doubt.
She's excellent in this movie, hands down.
Yeah, I love Jamie Lee. She's fucking great.
You're not. I always have. She's an icon, man, American icon. Let's move on to something else.
The Butlerian Jihad.
There you go.
Butlerian Jihad.
What do you mean? Like, you want to talk about that in and of itself?
No, I don't. I just, every time he said Crimson Jihad, I thought the Butlerian Jihad. That's all.
I didn't think that, but I'm glad you said it, because now I'm going to think about that every single time I hear that.
Aziz Light. I was so nervous about bringing Aziz Light into this just because I died saying that in the Fifth Element episode, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Well, here's the thing, man. When he's doing the silly speech, about the guy, our boy, Aziz, this is where he comes in, and that's his first scene, dude. And when you can see him starting to get so nervous, man, and then like he kind of is like, what? And he says, Battery Aziz. And the first thing I thought of was Aziz Light,
That's
man.
Great. That was a funny little scene.
So I think his name should be Battery Aziz Light.
I like it. I'm down.
Boom!
Boom shaka-lakka.
Yeah, there was some pretty funny slapsticky comedy going on between the group of like terrorists, including Art Malik, who, despite being pretty menacing, was also very funny.
He was, exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of had like a little bit of a Cosmo Kramer hairdo going, so like, yeah, there was some funny bits going there.
Who did? Art Malik or the Battery Aziz
Art
Light?
Malik. Art Malik kind of had like a really, I don't know. I loved his like balding fro thing that he had going. It was good.
Yeah, it was. It was really
Clearly I'm fucking dead.
I believe Gallagher described it as a bowling ball wearing a hula skirt.
There you go.
I like that.
A rare Gallagher quote.
I think it would be worth briefly touching on the other elephant in the room, which is the gripe about stereotypical Islamic terrorist stuff, which I don't know, like, as a white dude, I don't really have much to say on it, but I didn't find it problematic in this because at the time it was just similar to the sexism, like the Pink Panther-ness of it. Of course, they're going to take it and dial it up to 11 and have it be stupid. And I don't know. I didn't really have an issue with it, but I could see how some people might have.
Yeah, I was a little worried about the stereotypical portrayal thing until they started being really funny. And then...
Yeah, there you go.
It sort of eased everything. And I was like, all right, well, I felt like I felt my woke meter like getting triggered, and then it sort of just stopped. So, yeah.
I definitely think that Police Squad thing, like Frank Drebin thing, like it's I kind of got that vibe. I was just like, be an idiot about it and really push these characters to their caricature selves, and so it didn't bother me. But
yeah,
worth throwing it out there around the same time we talk about the Jamie Lee stuff, because it was evidently a pretty big gripe at the time.
You mean the casting and the portrayal of the Middle Eastern actors or characters, rather?
I think there were like some like community groups or civic groups that were quite frustrated with the stereotype. So just wanted to chuck it out there.
Yeah, I get it.
I feel like that was sort of a real flavor of the month, particular choice for bad guy in a lot of films at that point. So, that in and of itself is sort of tropey and shitty,
Yeah, that's maybe it for me, is I felt it way more tropey than stereotypically negative.
I mean, I'm pretty sure even that wasn't like the first time Art Malik was basically playing that character, more or less. So,
I completely spaced out until just now, and hopefully I'm not sniping anything. But on the Islamic terrorists. Oh, that's so lame and so stereotypical. Evidently, James Cameron wanted it to be Irish terrorists, but another movie came out at the same time that had Irish terrorists, so he changed it.
And that would be Patriot Games, I'm guessing?
No, it was something else, but similar.
Yeah.
So it kind of threw a bit of cold water on the whole thing of him being like a jerk about it. It's not really worth dwelling on, but I just thought it was a good place to put it.
No.
If you don't mind whoa-whoa-whoaing, I wanted just to bring up the opening scene.
Whoa, dude.
Whoa. Just because...
Hold on a minute. What was that, Sly? I said, whoa.
Whoa.
I love how they're both there now. That's so great.
We're sitting on a love seat.
Just the one thing that got me...
You're like a better Jeff Dunham now, Ben.
Who's Jeff Dunham?
He's this ventriloquist who does these goofy characters. I don't know. He's very popular too.
Oh my God, dude. I really want like a Sly puppet now.
That'd be amazing. I just wanted to bring the opening up because it really jumped out like very obviously as a Bond opening. It was very much the opening to a Bond movie.
And it was awesome.
And it was Arnie. You know, Arnie is Bond. And, you could almost argue that Arnie is a better Bond than Pierce Brosnan because it was around the same time, or certainly a post-GoldenEye Pierce Brosnan.
Whoa.
So I like Arnie as Bond for a minute there. Do you disagree?
I don't know if I agree that Arnie is a better Bond than Pierce Brosnan. No, I don't agree with that.
Maybe not Pierce Brosnan, but maybe then some of the later Brosnan movies, which might not have been Brosnan's fault. Like, I love Brosnan as Bond, don't get me wrong. But after GoldenEye, the Brosnan Bond movies were fucking pretty bad.
I don't know. Yeah, I kind of agree.
Cul-de-sac, probably not worthy of a cul-de-sac, but...
Yeah.
Let's move on before we get stuck here for 30 minutes. So Ben was saying, I don't agree if he's a better Bond than Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, that's all.
I don't know if I agree with that. He may be just as damn good because he was super smooth and super awesome. And it was just great. That opening sequence is so awesome because it just draws you right into this movie, man. That's what's so great about it. It's so well done. And Arnold is just as smooth as butter, man. As smooth as a guy like Arnold can be. He's not like a suave.
He's such a lug, though.
Well, that's the thing. He's such a lug. And like, you take Daniel Craig and Pierce and these guys, and it's like they're suave and they're sexy and they're just smooth.
Yes.
And Arnold, he dials it in, man. I got to give it to him, dude. He really dials it in that first scene. And he gets about as suave and as smooth as a guy that's built like Arnold, that talks like Arnold can get.
I don't know if I can count like Arnold, but I feel like his 6 months of tango lessons, like I just picture him counting the whole time he's dancing in that ballroom, and it just cracks me up.
In the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4.
And then I go back here like this. And no, wait, that's not right.
In the 1 to the left, in the 2 to the right.
Quick little departure because we were talking about the beginning here, but it might be a good time to just interject and say that this is some really peak Arnold stuff here.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Agreed.
this is like real confident Arnold, like with, fully developed chops, and he's terrific, man.
He's done breaking into Hollywood. He's established himself as a, superstar and a solid actor. I agree.
He just came off Last Action Hero, which at the time was considered a huge flop. I think it's a bit of a cult classic now for some, but he definitely is peak Arnold.
What else did you want to say about the boathouse? Just was that your sort of thing about the opening, Chad? Sorry.
Yeah, it was just the whole opening sequence. Like you said, it draws you right in, and you have the, coming in through the ice with the scuba suit Bond style, dancing with the girl Bond style, sneaking around, plugging things into bleep bloops, and then it's like the skiing machine gun dudes, like it's just the most Bondy thing ever.
Plugging things into bleep bloops with giant CRT monitors.
Yeah, man.
God. Forgot how freaking gigantic those stupid things were.
And I just love how it's a little subtle because you don't quite know if it's a comedy at this stage, but
yes,
James Bonding around, well, giant Austrian James Bond, and then gets picked up by Tom Arnold in a shitty van who's sliding around on ice. It's just a really well put together sequence.
I think that's one of the strengths. I agree with you. It's that you don't really know if it's a spy movie or what the deal is. And then until you hear Tom Arnold give him shit in the earpiece for the first time. like the tangoing, and even then it's still subtle, and then once they get going with the escape, then you kind of get that it's somewhat of a comedy as well.
Yeah. So we didn't do a play-by-play at all on this, which I'm thankful for, but I thought it was worth bringing the beginning back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that being said, I do have a couple of gripes.
Oh, let's hear them. Lay it on me.
Like, I'm watching this beginning of this movie, and Arnold's like underneath the water, cutting the gate with an acetylene torch, and he breaks through the ice. And it's this like gorgeous castle chalet type of place, and like then he goes behind the boathouse, and it's just like it's so shitty.
Oh God.
I was like, why is the boathouse so shitty? Like
That is the most perfect gripe of Kev.
The house is like this gorgeous mansion with like the most gorgeous grounds and this like moat and like the gate and like the whole thing. And then it's like the boathouse is just like, it's kind of a shitty wood dump. And then there's just like crap everywhere in the back. Like,
wow. This is like a Die Hard, the trash cans are brand new moment. It's
If you had a mansion like that, you would not have a boathouse like that or a garage like that. And you would certainly not have crap laying around like that.
Totally inaccurate.
I'm trying to give you the full gripes of Kev experience here. So that was a major problem. And right there, I was turned off from the movie straight away. That was in the first 3 minutes.
Lost a full point in your ranking on that one scene alone.
Exactly, dude.
Well, thank you for that poignant gripe.
Kev's analysis of Big Trouble in Little China. Dust. There's just dust everywhere.
Yeah, the dust, man. It's like, where did they get those Kleenexes? Where did they get the shaving cream? These are the questions I want to know.
God damn it.
Ooh, I smell a mid-roll.
Guys, hang on a second. Folks, we're going to be getting right back to the nerdery in a second, but I just had to take a quick break because I want to thank everybody so much for tuning into the show. We put a lot of work into it, and we really love doing it. And if you like the show, there's a couple of great ways you can support the show. First, you can rate us and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also tell someone to check out the show. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful, incredibly important, and we really appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning into the show, and now back to the mayhem. All right, on to my next gripe. So
Let's hear it.
We're going through this. I only have like one or two for this section. So going into all right, I don't understand this. Like the guards inside. So the guy, the mastermind, evil guy who owns this mansion is named Khaled, right? So he's Middle Eastern. All the guards on the inside of the house are Middle Eastern / Arabic, and then all the guards on the outside of the house are freaking Nazis. What is the deal, dude?
What's the deal with Nazis? I don't know, man.
How do you not have enough guards in your on your payroll that are Middle Eastern that you got these like Nazis on the other? This is the stupidest thing, and they literally looked like Nazis.
Right.
Which didn't make anybody feel good.
I didn't pick that up, but okay.
Yeah, neither did I.
I mean, this is DJ Khaled we're talking about here. He's got a few bucks, maybe he likes.
This is a disaster.
DJ Khaled?
Yeah, DJ
I
Khaled.
love that.
Man.
I picked that up.
You played yourself, fool.
Okay, so the last thing I'll say, it's not a gripe, is that this movie, like the beginning of this movie, and this movie has a lot of this in it, but I love when something hits something or somebody fires a bullet at something and it explodes like megaton. You know what I mean? Like he shoots the guy off the snowmobile as he's sliding down the hill on his back, and the snowmobile hits a tree, and it's just like the most fiery, grisly explosion. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And the thing was only putting along at like a few miles an hour.
Which is the best trope. I love the old explosion trope.
Oh my God. I love it, man. I just love it. And this movie has a lot of
Same with
that.
your pelican dude at the end with his truck. Same thing. Thing just explodes like nothing.
Wait, which part?
When the pelican drops on the truck and your Aziz light guy, like the truck just like falls off and then just like bumps the fucking concrete base. It just boom.
Oh, exactly. Oh, it's beautiful, man. It's like that's the even better example. It's just like tap.
Love me a giant gasoline explosion.
Exactly, Ben. Exactly. So, moving right along. let's unless you guys have anything else to add about the beginning.
I got no
it's-
gripes, bro.
Let's
No. I'm not just talking about gripes. I mean, I think that the opening is so good in this movie. Like even with my little stupid gripes of Kev, you know, like one of my favorite lines in the movie is when the guard outside, when he's like casually trying to escape, and the guy's like, "Sir, can I please see your invitation?" And he holds that thing up and he goes, "Here is my invitation." It's such an Arnold pun, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
So good.
Here's my invitation. Click, ba-boom. And the whole boathouse blows. That's why the boathouse was so shitty.
I love the boathouse obsession.
they were going to blow it up.
Anyway,
So the scene concludes with, Arnie having Tom Arnold kind of move out of the way so he can shoot two guys on the other side of the van. So
love that.
it's sort of a good place to segue to Tom Arnold as microchip, essentially.
Yes. Nice, dude.
He was great in this, man. I forgot kind of how big of a role he had.
This
Dude.
I will start by dropping a nugget about Tom Arnold that I was going to use in the end, but Cameron fought to get him in this picture. He wanted him in the picture, but the studio was not hot on it because he was just coming off his like super public messy divorce with Roseanne Barr.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically said, if you do not put Tom Arnold in this movie, I'm walking. I was like, wow, that's a lot of faith, man.
Totally. And pretty awesome.
You know, to have in a particular player, and it's really awesome that he stepped up to the plate for him like that. And you know what, man, 1,000% worth it because Tom Arnold is just so funny in this movie to the point that he almost steals the movie. Like, I could make a strong argument that Paxton's 10 minutes of screen time almost steal this movie, but Tom Arnold is a freaking close second, man. He's so good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I would say he stole the show, really. He's got the best line in the entire movie. That is when Dana is getting ready to leave for school and she puts on her giant bubble helmet. He's like, yeah, I remember the first time I got launched out of a cannon.
Dude, that was such a great dad joke, man.
So good. Evidently, they made him do like 15 improv takes, and that was the one they did, which I just think is fucking great. I cracked up when I saw that.
It's so good.
I would love to see the deleted takes of Tom Arnold in this movie.
Oh, man, yeah.
I'll bet they're hysterically funny.
Yeah, man, no doubt.
Because he is hysterical in this movie, man. You know, so your wife's banging a used car salesman. So your life's in the toilet. Take it like a man. You know, he's just great, man. I mean, like every single little bit that he had, he managed to make funny. So like when Arnold comes walking across the street and he's just figured out about Helen, almost gets hit by the bus. Tom Arnold like kind of walks out to walk him over to the side of the road. And he looks up at the bus driver. It's super quick. And he goes, fucker.
I just love that his character is like so pumped that Arnie now can understand his bullshit life because he's experiencing it. Like, it's so funny.
That's how it starts, is that he starts saying like, oh, welcome to the club, man. Finally.
Exactly.
You know, kind of.
There was a little nugget here which I liked, which was Arnie had a conversation with James Cameron talking about the Roseanne breakup. And Tom Arnold told Arnie an anecdote about Roseanne taking the ice cube trays. And Arnie told James Cameron and said, what kind of crazy bitch would do that? And James Cameron thought it was so funny that he put it in the movie, which I think is hilarious.
You son of a bitch.
Did I steal your nugget?
You just sniped my nugget.
I thought I might, but fuck it, whatever.
Blow me.
Well, I mean, if we're talking comedy chops, it might be a transition to Paxton. You guys want to
Well, hold on.
land the aircraft now or what?
Hey, whoa.
I don't know.
Whoa.
Hang on one second on Tom Arnold. Yeah, whoa. Let's just hold on. Tom Arnold.
Whoa.
Hey, listen, hold on. Moe's not done with Tom Arnold yet, so.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to say that I remember like his whole sort of coming onto the scene and his whole kind of genesis in Hollywood. And like so many people were always like, oh, he's not funny. He's just kind of riding Roseanne's coattails and this and that and the other thing. And, you know, there were times when I thought that for sure. But when I saw this movie in particular, I was like, this guy is 100% legit, standing on his own 2 feet. You can say what you want about him. He's really, really funny. And you cannot take that away from him. Like we already said, he pretty much steals the show. And it's not just that he's got the best lines and he's really funny. He's playing all of the serious parts really, really well too. So if he's the funny guy and Arnold is the straight man, and the combination of the two of them makes for just some great funny moments that I even laughed out loud at during this viewing. And I've seen this movie easily like 30 times, you know?
They have really good chemistry for sure.
Totally.
They do. They have fantastic chemistry. And Tom Arnold he gets like how quick you need to be. And to the effect that some of his jokes, like he's already moving on to the next joke while your brain is still processing the one that he just dropped that was so funny. I love how he does that in this movie. And that's not just him. I mean, that's also the style of the film and what the director's allowing and the script and so forth. But I think he's incredible, man. And then, you know, when you see the serious parts of the movie, like when they're going after the terrorists and, you know, like even the more action-oriented parts, like he's dialing it in, dude. Like perfectly legit. Like he's not the Arnold level hero by any stretch. He's still the guy in the van, which was a great joke at the end of the movie. But, you know, when he has to throw his gear on and get his gun out, like he's not a slouch, man, at all. I think he's perfect in this movie. He was great. Absolutely great.
I want to see Arnie and Jamie Lee and Tom Arnold in a sequel, or, you know, not like a direct sequel, but as the same characters nowadays.
It'd be cool.
That'd be an interesting movie to see. You know, not like True Lies 2, but like those same characters and like, you know, how they've developed once they've become a spy family, and, you know, that'd be interesting.
Very.
Definitely. I'd watch the shit out of it.
Now we can move on to Paxton.
Okay.
Because remember, guys, this is a Bill Paxton film.
You said it earlier. One of you guys said it earlier, but
No, we said it like a week ago, I think.
the only thing I remember about this movie before I watched it was Bill Paxton. I didn't remember anything else
And that says so much.
until watching it. And then I was like, oh, yeah, Harrier. Oh, yeah, Bridge. Oh, yeah, this. Oh, yeah, that. But Bill Paxton is the only thing I remembered.
Similar.
He definitely steals the show for me.
Yeah, I said that I was disappointed at how little actual Bill Paxton there is in this movie, because in my head it was a much larger part.
But that's a testament to Paxton, Ben, because he's got, according to a little article I read, 10 minutes of screen time, and like so much so that it dominated Chad's head in terms of what he remembered about this film. You know, like I can remember every single Paxton scene almost line for line.
Oh, it's just the best.
And that's it. None of the other stuff.
It's the perfect part for him, man. It's just, I couldn't imagine anybody else quite playing that part, you know?
No
way, dude.
He's just like, it was made for him, you know? And I think that's why it's so memorable and why it's so great, and, you know, why outside of Tom Arnold's performance, his is probably, you know, it's obviously the most memorable in all of our minds, because we're all like, oh yeah, that's a Bill Paxton movie. That's not an Arnie movie.
Exactly, man.
I didn't remember Tom Arnold was in this movie, so I'm with you that he steals the show now that I've seen it, but Paxton for me definitely was like the most memorable, no doubt.
Well, this would be the third Cameron-Paxton collaboration. So we're happy that they met, because it just kept getting better and better. He played the punk at the beginning of The Terminator, which we had a huge blow-up discussion on Instagram about with a bunch of the people that listen to the show. And then, you know, he's classic as Hudson in Aliens.
No doubt.
I wish Cameron directed. You put her in charge.
You're gonna come over here, man. They're gonna kill us, man.
I wish Cameron had directed Commando, because then it would have been one more in the collaboration. He would have had Paxton as the radar operator.
Fucking totally.
Right? But then we have this, you know, and it's like, you're right. Who better to play this part than Bill Paxton? Nobody.
There was an interview with Paxton around the time that this was coming out, like just kind of whatever they call it, the marketing for the film. And he said he had to audition for the role. And like he was friends with Cameron, but like the only reason he got the role is because he read it well. Like it wasn't like it was written for him or anything like that. He had to actually read for it, which was interesting.
Interesting.
Huh.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Because I do agree that he's the only person I can think of that could have done it.
He turned what could have been sort of a throwaway, role into something that really was an asset to the film.
No doubt. I just love his little whispery kind of secret spy shit. It's just, he played that so perfectly.
It's so funny, man.
Leans in, squints his eyes.
There's lines from this movie that I still say to this day that usually, of course, nobody ever gets. But one of them is...
It's the training. You're acting a microsecond.
That's it.
Yeah. I heard you say that one all the time.
Oh, here it is. I wrote it down.
Paxtonize it for us, please.
No, because I say that all the time, what you just said, Ben, but the full line is actually, it's the training. It turns you into a lethal instrument. You react in a microsecond without thinking. And he's like, he is selling that shit so hard and so good, man. And I love how they do the flashback to we get to see the sort of the genesis of Helen and Simon in the Chinese restaurant, dude.
Oh my God. Yeah.
This is so great. And her opening the briefcase and there's the tickets and the BB gun and the maps. It's so stupid. The whole thing is just so great, And the juxtaposition between that, what you just said, Chad, the suave spy voice, where he's like, it's the training. You react in a microsecond. To him in the car with Arnold, where he's like, pair of titties make you stand up and beg for buttermilk.
Absolutely, man. I had forgotten all about that final bit, too, where he gets confronted on the edge of the dam. I was fucking pissing myself, no pun intended.
I'm fucking pathetic, man. I got a little dick.
I'm navel lint.
You know what though, Chad? I'm going to just add on top of what you said. I forgot that the actual last scene of Simon was as the waiter at the very end of the movie. I completely forgot that.
The ballroom, yeah.
And he pees himself right there too.
Again, yeah.
I love it.
This is another great little Tom Arnold moment where he's like, Paxton is trying to follow them essentially, and he just shoots the gun at his feet. He's like, fuck off.
Yeah, that was the best.
Yeah, that was great. I love that.
It's amazing, man. That the sequence in the convertible is just one of cinema's great sequences, man.
Oh my God.
Hysterical, man. I love Arnold's got that great. I don't know what it is about that one line in there when he's talking about Helen, and Arnold goes, "Yeah, and with you, she gets to be real hot." I don't know why. It just freaking cracks me up every time I hear him say it. I don't know why.
I gotta actually chuck a gripe of Kevin here. In this actual scene too. One thing that maybe isn't a deal breaker for me in movies, but is close to a deal breaker for me, is the Arnold smashing him in the face, but then, actually he didn't smash him in the face. That shit really kind of annoys me in movies.
Oh, how it was him fantasizing about smashing him in the face? Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be such a commonly used trope. And like we said earlier with this, there's so many tropes in this that it's probably totally forgivable. But just in general, I find it annoying when it's actually that didn't happen. It was the person imagining it or whatever. It seems like it's so common and it just annoys the fuck out of me. So gripe of Kev over, but I hope you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. All right. I'm with you, man. That's an interesting gripe. I'm down with the gripe.
But I love that scene.
Doesn't bother me, but I can't think of another example of that in my head right now. So
no, I can't come up with a good example either, but there are fucking dozens of them.
Yeah.
So fuck that.
All right, then.
Yeah, fuck that. Get out of here, dickhead, and shoot the ground. Tom Arnold style.
I don't really have anything else about Paxton. Again, we already said it all. The guy steals the show, clearly.
Well, Kev, he has a great sleazy mustache in this film.
Oh, yeah. What better, for a used car salesman than to have a sleazy mustache?
Of course.
Come on.
Of course.
Come on. I was watching this and I was thinking about Paxton and I was like, okay, Bill Paxton's career in my head now, anyway, in 2020, as of this moment, is air traffic guy from Commando, this movie, and the Hatfields and the McCoys, which if nobody's seen the Hatfields and the McCoys, it's phenomenal. Check it out. It was one of the last things he did, I think, before he passed away. R.I.P. Bill Paxton.
You know what, man? That's such a losing Bill Paxton was a real tragedy because it was just, it was so unexpected.
Way too young.
It was such a, just a random
way too
thing,
young.
Yeah, and he was so young.
How did he pass away, Ben? Do we know? I don't remember.
He died in surgery.
Aneurysm during a cardiac surgery, I believe.
Yeah, he died in surgery. But, it's just he was way too young, and it was just such a random thing, It's not like, he had been sick for, ages or nobody was I wasn't expecting it at all. When I found out about it, I was flabbergasted.
Shall we move on to anecdotal bits, scenes, so we can move on because we're running out of time?
Yeah, man, do it.
How do you want to do it? Just everybody kind of rattle off their own, or?
Yeah, we really kind of touched on the ones, the little bits that I really loved. One being Tom Arnold making the canon comment about the helmet, and then the little exchange with the dickhead and blow me.
That was great.
That really covers like my favorite little bits from this movie after seeing it, 100 times or whatever.
Fair enough. All right, I'll rattle off a bunch of stuff I have in very swift fashion. Adding on to the Bill Paxton stuff, he also had like this cheesy yet kind of classic spy from a movie outfit on, which was like the blazer with the turtleneck. I was like, it went perfectly with the sleazy mustache and just the whole shtick, man. It was great. Tom Arnold. They're surveilling Helen and Simon. She puts her head in his lap. Tom Arnold goes, maybe she's sleepy. It was just the delivery, man, and the timing was just perfect, man. And then there was another Tom Arnold moment when they're kind of surveilling her in the beginning when he just found out. And he's like, I can't believe it. The guy's a used car salesman. He's like, isn't that the funniest goddamn thing or what? And Arnold squeezes the binoculars and the glass breaks. And he's like, yeah, we still got to kill this guy, though.
Yeah, there was another Tom Arnold. I really liked the Tom Arnold one where they were teasing him about the tango, and him and the computer hacker dude were like tangoing in the CIA headquarters. That was funny, man.
Faisal, yeah.
And on the CIA headquarters, man, what about fucking Charlton Heston as Nick Fury? Like, what the fuck?
Well, I had that was part of my list here. Was I was about to hit that because I had a couple in that section, Chad.
Okay.
And that was one of them. He literally is Nick Fury. Eye patch, scars over the eye, like the whole thing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't be more like Nick Fury. I just loved there was so much going on there that was really funny, like Omega Sector. It's like, come on, dude. Like I just love the over-the-top nature, from like in a comedy sense in this movie was just fantastic. Like the two guys with machine guns standing behind glass when they walk in the front entrance of Omega Sector. Like, it's just so stupid. It's like, what do they do? Just stand there all day behind the glass? Like, why do they have to be behind the glass? Like, couldn't they just be sitting there? Like,
what's the deal with the glass?
I don't know, eating lunch or something? Like,
what's the deal with the glass? Why does there have to be glass?
Gripes of Kev, ladies and gentlemen. Oh God, I love it.
That was very gripe of Kev.
Okay, moving right on because I want to keep moving here. Simon, the plastic wine glasses in the trailer. I love how like this is my. He's like, we had to come to this safe house. The New York one's too hot. It's like, yeah, okay. And then he's got the plastic wine glasses. So cheesy.
The penthouse in New York is too hot.
Can't go to the penthouse either.
So great. All right, what else we got? Glass case, Heston. Oh, here's a great gripe at Kev. The guy has a MAC-10 in the bathroom, and he starts shooting it. It sounds exactly like an AK. What's up with that?
Yeah.
Goddamn Foley artists.
Hello, sound design. Oh, my God. Just details. Overlooked.
The bathroom fight scene was pretty excellent, though, I thought.
Pretty sick.
It was great, but like there was already shooting, and then we're doing the bathroom scene. That goes on for like 10 minutes. It's like, where are the cops?
Mm-hmm.
Why did nobody call the cops? Nobody heard the gunshots. Nobody called the cops. Where are the Kleenex?
I nerded out pretty hard on that bathroom scene, man.
You nerded out hard on the bathroom scene? What do you mean?
Well, just because I was like, is this the first bathroom fight scene in like an action movie of the era? And the only other action scene I could find that takes place in a bathroom pre this movie is in The Warriors.
Wow.
Really?
Like, I watched a bunch of bathroom scene YouTube videos, which, like I said, I nerded out pretty hard. So I would love if anyone could find another one, but I think this might be the prototrope for bathrooms fight scenes.
Nice find, dude. And nice detective work, Nancy Drew.
Yeah, thanks.
And an excellent little one-liner from Arnie. Cool off.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God, yeah. Gotta love that, man.
Because between the Mission Impossible Henry Cavill fight scene, I don't know if you've seen that Mission Impossible Fallout, but
No.
that and Casino Royale flashback bathroom fight scene, like it's very tropey. Like they definitely picked up on it in action movies post this movie. So
Yeah, it's well shot. It's a good fight sequence. I found myself thinking that.
That being said, Jarhigo, one of my gripes of Kev is that like the big giant Middle Eastern guy who's an Israeli actor.
Mm-hmm.
He was like in the way they cut the scene was that like the guy's like standing there waiting for the hits. I was like, dude, come on. Like you can see it.
does the big guy being dressed like Arnie in Terminator 1 make any difference to you?
I noticed that as well. I was like, oh, that's an Easter egg right there.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. Nice
Pretty much
one,
wearing
man.
the exact same outfit. Yeah.
He is. You're right. Except the shirt he's wearing is like a collared button down.
But still, it was kind of an horsey over.
Definitely.
It's a horse over.
Oh no, that's a horse over right there, man. Okay, so moving right along, he grabs the horse. There's a cop on the horse. The cop falls off the horse, and he's like, "Federal agent in pursuit of a suspect. I need your horse." He jumps on the horse and takes off. Dude, the cop would have shot him. Straight up, cop would have shot him. I mean, what is going on here?
Yeah, that was an interesting.
It's just ridiculous.
An interesting sequence. The horse and the motorcycle on the elevators.
I know, just ridiculous, man. And then, okay, so Tom Arnold had a great, like, I couldn't even believe he said this. Like, he says to Aziz when they're in the lobby and Aziz is on the motorcycle, before they get in the elevator, Tom Arnold's like, he's like, stop, get off or die. I was like, really? Get off or die? Like, get off the motorcycle or you're going to die? Like, I don't know, it's just so kind of a stupid line. It kind of gets lost in the shuffle of all the other audio in that section, but whatever. You'll appreciate this. I, of course, could not help but notice and have a fondness for the Honda CRX that Helen drives. These Honda Civic CRX that Helen drives in this movie, man. Like, love it or hate it, that was a totally unique little pocket rocket hatchback car from the 80s and the 90s. It was just awesome, man.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That is a very iconic little hatchback there. Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I hadn't, it didn't stick out at me this time on this watching, but you're right. Yeah.
Okay, so moving right along, I loved all the use of tape in this movie. And by tape, I mean like audio recording tape, cassette tape, reel to reel. Like it just nostalgically took me back. I was like, wow, this is like seriously pre-digital, man, you know?
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. I'm like, how the hell is Arnie navigating that cassette of the French dude talking? Like,
I know, right?
how is he doing that?
Masterful, Ben. Masterful. I got to say, one of the best Arnold lines, and this is almost done with my lists, is when he's trying to get her out of the limo. He says to the pilot, "Come on, take it down. Let's go." One of my Arnie favorites.
Yeah, there's nothing like some good panicking Arnie, you know?
Last two. This is a total badass spy move. When he gets Helen and they escape from the truth serum interrogation chamber room, whatever. They're getting chased by all those guys. He's kicking ass. He's killing them all. He kick flip. The guy's like, halt. And he holds up his hands and then he kick flips the AK up to his hands off the ground, turns around and blows the guy away. Total badassery. I loved it.
It was great.
And the last one is good one to finish on. I have always, and still to this day, they did it in RoboCop and they did it in this movie. I have always wanted to take a gas nozzle, light that shit on fire, and just spray everything with flaming death. It looks like a lot of fun.
And have a gasoline fight accident.
Something like that.
It died in a freak gasoline fight accident. Yeah, that is a great trope right there.
Yeah. I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to burn shit like that. So that's it. Those are my little bitsy witsies. Anybody else? You guys have any more?
Bitsy witsies. Are we ready for Nuggets deaths ratings?
Yeah, Nuggets, deaths, and ratings is going to be short because there's like no deaths.
No deaths. Wow, it's the first time there's no death. Oh, wait, you made a bad joke.
No, I think I had one. I think I had you guys didn't fucking say anything after I said something, half intelligent and half retarded. I think I died there.
I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I remember you saying I just died on that one.
Yes, you're right.
I can't remember. But I do have some nuggets. Do you guys have any nuggets?
I do, actually.
Well, let's hear them. Let's round robin.
No, you start. I got to gather my things.
Judah, I don't have any. I don't have any because there's been a whole lot of sniping and general violence going around the Nuggets section. So I decided that I would be the over-the-top arm wrestling referee here and just try and keep it clean.
Okay, keep it clean. This is a double elimination nugget section.
A double elimination tournament.
All right, you go first. Snipe me.
I
I
can't.
dare you.
I'm trying to get it all together here, dude.
Give me your best nugget. I want a snipe.
I'm not ready yet. Go.
Give me your best.
How many times do I got to say that, dude?
Twice, apparently.
Twice. Say it one more time.
That was thrice. I'm not ready yet, Chad. Go
Say
ahead.
what again?
What country are you from?
What language you speak in what?
What ain't no country I ever heard of?
All right. This is a really kind of a weird one, but at one point in the film, Arnie uses a hand grenade, and evidently, originally in the script, Juno puts a hand grenade between Helen's legs, saying that all she has to do is keep her legs closed, to which Helen retorts that that's a problem for Juno. And then evidently Harry saves her in the limo and manages to repin the grenade using Helen's diamond earring. And they cut the scene out of the film so that when he uses the hand grenade, you can see the earring thing, and it's all over the poster. So if you look at the poster, there's a hand grenade with a diamond earring in it, and that's what it's all from. So it's just like a really weird cut scene nugget, but I thought it was kind of interesting.
That is a good nugget. I like that.
That's hilarious.
That is hilarious. Are you ready now?
No, you're going. Go.
I thought we were round robin in it.
Since when have we ever done nuggets like that?
I think it's boring doing them all in a row, but okay. When Harry says his code name will be Boris, Helen says Natasha, obviously in reference to Rocky and Bullwinkle. Harry offers Doris instead, and it turns out that fantasy artist and bodybuilder Boris Vallejo, whom Arnold Schwarzenegger admired, was at the time married to a woman named Doris. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Love it. That is a great nugget.
Boris Vallejo, who everyone would recall, is the person who paints the really sexy, heavy metal, fantasy, boobs, Viking, bear riding covers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, him and Frank Frazetta, but yeah.
Sly here wanted me to relay a story to you guys.
Okay.
It's completely unrelated, but it's something similar. I actually knew a real life couple named Rocky and Adrian.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
That is a great story.
It's nice and short, too. It's almost like a haiku.
Thanks for reminding me about that. So, no problem.
That's crazy, dude. Rocky and Adrian?
Yeah, for real.
No coincidence?
No coincidence.
No, wow. Okay, Chad, I'll go.
Yep.
Since you want to do a round robin of nuggets.
I do. I think it would be worth. Yeah, I prefer it than a wall of nuggets.
Let's try it. Okay, Schwarzenegger used...
Keep it clean.
In addition to all the training for the tango scene that Chad mentioned earlier in the show, he used Al Pacino's performance in Scent of a Woman as his inspiration for doing the scene and doing it well.
I like you. That's a good nugget.
What do you got?
Joe Pesci turned down the role of Gib.
Oh my God, that would have been disastrously terrible.
It would have been pretty bad. So
they fuck you at the drive-thru.
No, just no.
Oh my God.
Your turn.
Okay, here's a great one. When we already spent a good chunk talking about the dance scene, Jamie Lee, and all of that. When she slips and falls, that was completely unintentional. And Schwarzenegger dropping the tape recorder was his actual reaction to her slipping. Cameron loved it and kept it in the movie.
Right on.
And it plays beautifully.
Both of them play perfectly, but I love the tape recorder especially. Especially like the tape recorder, and then he kind of like, when she falls, he kind of like jumps up out of his seat, which I wonder if that was also kind of unintentional.
I'm sure. Yeah, the whole thing was a real reaction is what you're saying, right, Kev?
Yeah, it was. It was a real reaction, yeah.
My penultimate nugget is probably more of an angry nugget, but legendary director McG is bringing a True Lies show to Disney Plus.
What?
And I'm being sassy about the legendary status of McG, by the way.
Yeah, I'm with you 1,000%. Like, let me get my extra can of sarcasm here. I have zero interest in seeing that. I think it's this of all the remake ideas that have come out in the last 15 years, of which there have been way too many. This is by far the worst one. Like, it's just stupid. No, just no.
Sidecar nugget to the McG shit show. They had tried to do a sequel.
Sidecar nugget.
Little side, it's riding on the side.
I like it.
They tried to do a sequel to this, and they were like rip-roaring, ready to go, script done, everyone was signed up, and then September 11th happened, and they put a pause on it and then canceled it after that. So
Yeah, I read that too. And you know what? I just want to comment on that. Like this movie came out in '94. It's like they should have had their shit together to do the sequel within 2 to 3 years. Like it should have been a sequel that came out in '97 because this was a great movie, and the setup for the sequel was just like screaming in your face at the end. You know, it's like, come on, that really pisses me off, man. You know, it's like Cameron's like, I'm too busy. I'm working on some other stupid movie about a boat. Like,
yeah, I got no time for that.
You know, and then it's like they waited so long is the problem, Chad. And then September 11th hit, and it's like, yeah, no shit, you're not going to do a movie about Middle Eastern terrorists. Fucking stupid fucks. Sorry. I don't ever get this pissed, and I don't ever swear like this.
It's funny. So I want to tack another sidecar. Onto this nugget because I remember reading somewhere that
because you want me to get more pissed.
Forrest Gump came out at the same time as this and beat it at the box office, and it also tried to do a sequel that got canceled because of September 11th. So another movie released the same year had the same issues with timing of a sequel. So
yeah, see,
and we were saved from two movies that probably should never have gotten
pretty
made.
much.
Certainly the Forrest Gump.
It's a bit of an Anik nugget, but whatever.
I think a True Lies sequel could potentially be good because there was a lot of that cast had great chemistry and those characters were good. So you could have done a lot of different things with them. But Forrest Gump,
yeah, who fucking knows?
Just doesn't. That was just wrapped up with a bow and done nicely there.
Dude, that was the most complete movie. It's like, why would you destroy that original Forrest Gump movie with some stupid sequel?
Forrest goes to Mars.
About the Mesmer.
That's awesome.
Little Forrest becomes the Mesmer.
I love the Mesmer, dude. I love seeing Haley Joel Osment doing stuff again between that and Silicon Valley.
Oh my God, man. I know. I loved it. The Boys was great.
You got any more nuggets there?
I do. Yeah, I do have a bunch. Yeah, I have a couple here. So,
get on with it. Jesus.
This was the only film
Come on.
of Cameron's to be not. Come on, go!
There's no time.
You son of a bitch. Only film of Cameron's to be nominated for visual effects and not to win. Kind of interesting.
Keep rattling them off. I'm gonna give the final nugget because it's not related to this movie.
Okay, that's fine. This movie is still. I actually can't believe this. This movie is still not available on Blu-ray.
What?
Yeah. And here's Cameron's reasoning. True, as of, and I'm reading this off a site, right? Okay, as of 2019, July, True Lies still isn't available on Blu-ray. Cameron has indicated that a new HD transfer was completed, but he has yet to find time in his busy schedule to review and approve it. Fail.
No.
You're too cool now to fucking approve the digital transfer of your own awesome movie so you can sell more and make more money and get 28 million more followers on YouTube and Instagram? Jesus Christ, man.
We got a bit of an orange sassafras squirrel going on over here. You got that foghorn leghorn rassafrassa.
I say, Mr. Cameron.
Yeah, you know what, James Cameron? Nobody gives a fuck about Avatar 2.
Or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6.
Just get over yourself and put this movie on Blu-ray already.
I really think his time would be better spent taking 5 minutes to approve the transfer to Blu-ray for this movie than making Avatar 2. Because as we've seen and learned with the sequel comment that I just made, like, I don't know if you're aware or not, Mr. C, but Avatar came out in 2009. It is now 11 years past when that came out. That movie, aside from the visual awesomeness of it and Stephen Lang and pretty much everybody in the movie except Sam Worthington, there's not much going on there. And the story is like, as old as
Don't forget JP.
as dirt, right? JP, freaking Sigourney
Tatanka.
Weaver, Stephen Lang, like all of these great actors. Laz Alonso is in it, man. CCH Pounder, like all these great actors. It's like Wes Studi. I don't care about Avatar 2, okay? I don't care about the first one anymore, and I don't care about the new one. And when it comes out, I will be doing something else. I will be writing in my memoirs of hatred about how much I hate Avatar on the day that the sequel comes out.
I love how fired up you are, dude.
That was a terrific rant, Kev, and I love
Thank
the
you,
audible
man.
stomp that came through there.
You know what, Benny?
I
You
don't know
got
if you
me. You
pounded your
just, like-
fist on the desk or you stomped on the ground or
Did I? I don't
punched
know
yourself
what I
in the
did.
face or something, but that they came through.
It was totally
terrific.
the Arnold punching the window in the back of the car thing.
Yeah, give me the goddamn page.
All right, angry fucking ant. You got any more anger nuggets?
I got the best nugget. I got the king of nuggets.
Come on,
You ready for this?
I bet you I could beat your nugget.
come on, drop the nugget, go.
Go.
I got the final nugget. The guy in the bathroom during the bathroom fight is James Cameron's dad.
That's awesome.
Fucking believe? Can you believe that?
That's amazing. He immortalized his dad with his pants around his ankles. That's fucking great.
Right?
That's totally something I would do with my dad. I would totally do that.
Same here. What's your final nugget, dude? Go ahead.
Okay,
You always
my
gotta
nu-
have the last word.
Imagine if Frito was in the stall next to him watching "Ow My Balls."
Exactly. Just the airplane ball shot on loop.
Oh my god, masterpiece, man. That was so funny, Ben.
So my final nugget is a Paxton nugget. It's not related to the movie. I'm not sure if you guys knew this about Bill Paxton, but when Bill Paxton was 8 years old, he can be seen in photos sitting on the shoulders of someone in the crowd watching JFK give his speech before he was assassinated.
Get the hell out of here.
Yep. I just thought that was an amazing Bill Paxton nugget.
Yeah, so, a lot of people don't know this. But,
So not what I thought was coming after what Chad said.
Holy shit!
Okay, so
Only
no
someone like
deaths.
Bill Paxton could do all the legendary things that he's done. Be killed by a Terminator, be killed by a fucking alien, and fucking was at JFK's assassination. Like, that's just a Bill Paxton thing. Like, only Bill Paxton.
Don't forget, be turned into a giant turd in Weird Science.
There you go.
Right? There you go. Nice one.
There's some things that only Bill Paxton can do.
That's right. That's why he's such a legend. Anyway, let's move on to deaths.
I died.
none.
I think
Chad
Kev,
had one death.
I think you rage quit a minute ago, Kev. You definitely died somewhere in that fucking diatribe.
You know what, dude? We've had a lot of new deaths in the last couple of shows. Let's just hold back on that. I think you're reaching a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't die right there. Other people did die, and
we're
are
getting
gonna
dangerously
die.
close to having to publish like a death rule book.
Right.
Yeah, we are. We are getting really close to that.
Well, I like how I just died by trying to say you died for screaming into the mic for 8 minutes.
That's right. You like how I did that?
I do. I like it. The tables have turned. I like it. And then Ben fucking agreed, the bastard.
Yeah, man. This is
It was an excellent rant.
It was pretty epic.
what happens.
let your hatred flow.
I've got the high ground, Anakin.
Welcome to the final order.
And we all just killed ourselves with Star Wars references.
That's a Star Wars death, my friend.
Damn right it is. Late in the game, during the deaths section, we've had 2 deaths.
I like it.
I like it a lot, man.
All right, ratings?
Who brought this to the table? You?
I think I did.
Yeah, you go first.
All right. I brought it to the table. We'd been threatening an Arnie movie. I thought it was a good pick. I didn't realize how grumpy you guys were going to be at the beginning about it, which is quite funny. I think it's a great movie for its time. I think it is a good showcase of how James Cameron pushes the envelope. First movie to spend $100 million. Even if the Harrier shit was annoying for some, I like the fact that they went balls to the wall with like having a fucking Harrier on a crane on top of a skyscraper and having real Harriers hired from the military. Like, You just don't do that anymore. It's all digital bullshit these days.
Mm.
It definitely has some troublesome spots, like the sexist bullshit and the, terrorists stereotype bullshit. But, like, I don't know. It's not a deal breaker for me just because so many other movies of this era had similar problems. You couldn't make this movie today for a variety of reasons, of which that's one. And the practical stuff and the other effects and stuff. Like, you're not getting a bunch of actors on top of a fucking skyscraper shooting. Like, it's just the safety douches wouldn't let you do it. So for me, this movie's quite a good Arnie movie. It's not one of his best by any stretch, but it's good. I enjoyed it. The company that it keeps on the algorithm, it's in the Die Hard with a Vengeance area. It's a good dozen or so movies below Beverly Hills Cop. Casino is better than it. It comes in at a 5.6, which is a good movie approaching really good, and I enjoyed it.
Is that you clapping for him, Ben?
Yes.
Thank you. Golf clap.
It wasn't. No, it was a golf clap. Is like
That was a really quiet one.
That was a quiet one. It's all right.
Yeah, what I said.
Okay, interesting. Ben, go ahead.
My grumpiness broke the improbability drive this week.
Oh,
It did, but I think I'm falling in line with internet ratings. I'm giving this one. I mean, look, I've seen this movie numerous times. I would say at least 30 viewings, agreeing with Kev, if not probably more than that. It's only on this particular watching that things really started to stick out to me that I had a little bit of a hard time digesting, the length of it, the fact that it kind of felt like a slog. They're only really indicative of this watch. So that being said, I think if you haven't seen this movie before, you should check it out because it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great stuff about it. It's a solid 7.
totally reasonable.
I think.
This one's kind of tough, man. If you'd asked me when I'd seen it the 30 times that, like, Ben and I watched this movie, I probably would have been like, 10, 9.8, but now I really, like, a lot of what you guys said really hit home today. And especially what Ben said, I really would like to try to recut this movie and make those changes and throw it up just for fans of this show.
I would love to see the Mulvey claw cut.
I would love... Oh, the Mulvey claw cut. Yes. I like it. That's what we'll call it for sure. I mean, look, I love this movie, and it's such great fun. Just like Ben, I would recommend it to anybody. It is definitely rewatchable, is still even to some degree. I would like to recut it because I think that those scenes... I really think the scene at the end is a little bit unnecessary. I mean, the focus is the action. This is the comedy. And then the action is there to flesh that out and make that better, not take over later in the movie, and have an ow my balls moment. It was a little... Sorry, it's true, man. And then, like, it's Paxton just steals the show. Again, comedy. Tom Arnold, again, comedy. Almost steals it from Paxton, but not quite. It's great. Cast is great. All of that stuff, There's some stuff that didn't age as well, and like I said, I agree with Ben about the Harrier bit and all that at the end. But I still would totally recommend it. I mean, it's like part of the Arnold canon. Chad, you said that I don't know if it's his best movie. I mean, this movie is better than a lot of Arnold's movies. I can tell you that. I mean, Some of them are terrible, and they're kind of great because they're terrible, like Raw Deal.
Yeah.
And Conan the Destroyer. I'm looking at you, Will Chamberlain. Boom, bada, why? So, I don't know.
Lot on your knife.
I think this is one of his best movies. He's, like Ben said earlier in the show, he's at the top of his game, man. He's absolutely at the top of his game, dialing it in on the comedy, dialing it in on the straight man, dialing it in on the action, the tango, all of that stuff. Like, there's a lot going on in this movie. So, all that nonsense said, as often has happened in the past, not lately, I have been exactly on point with Jarhigo, and it will be the same today. 7.
Right on.
I'd rate it an 8, but the whole thing about wanting to recut it is dropping it down to a 7. So, that's my final answer.
I love how deliberate you were there. That was really great.
Thank you.
I could feel the gears turning in your head.
It
was nice.
I like it.
Yeah, I almost feel like now that I've aired my grievances about the film, I could, revisit it in a year, full well knowing that those things exist and probably enjoy it a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, I definitely think you're onto something there.
All right, so Algorithm, what are we doing next week? My favorite part of the show.
We're doing a bit of a two for Howat here, where we're going to do another throwback, oft requested Next of Kin, which I know is in your wheelhouse, Mulvey.
Ooh, can't wait. We've had many
It's in his Roadhouse, too.
Oh,
Oh,
I like it. I like it.
Very nice, dude. Very nice. We have had a lot of requests for Patrick Swayze movies. We had a lot of people DMing us like, dude, when are you guys going to do a Swayze movie? So I want to say up front, we chose this one because we wanted to save the regal gem that is Roadhouse for later. We didn't want to quite go there yet. And Next of Kin is great. So get ready for that. Watch the movie this week. Take your own notes, folks, and then share them with us online. Okay?
Yeah.
Get stoked for that. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of True Lies. I really enjoyed talking about this movie today. I enjoyed talking about it more than I enjoyed watching it.
There you go.
So I'm thanking the both of you. Thank you, Chad and Ben.
Well, thank you.
Very enjoyable.
Thank you, Kev.
And before we move along and say goodbye, folks, we just want to remind everybody that the third book in our book club series, Endymion, part of the Hyperion Cantos, is going to be coming out soon. So if you haven't got the audiobook or the book and read it or listened to it, get on the stick, because that is going to be yet more goodness from a great science fiction universe. So get to it, and we will announce when we're going to release that probably next week.
Yar.
Get into it.
That's it. Snap into it. So without further ado, I would like to say, as we have said on the show in the past, I have spoken.
Oh, good call. This is the way.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and the lamentation of the women.
I was so hoping that he was going to say this is the way, which would have been so cool. And somehow that was even better by like 10 miles. So long, folks. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Whoa, don't forget, Sly will be joining the Everybody Dies podcast once a week for a new segment called A Lot of People Don't Know This, But...
Yes!
I like how it's don't forget, but they've never heard about it before.
That's the best. So good.
Don't forget.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. Don't forget to follow us on social media using the handle @EBD Podcast. We are everywhere. Join us on Instagram. We got a lot of conversations going there. Also Facebook. If you'd like to help us out, there's a lot of great ways you can do that. You can rate and review, even more importantly, on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast muffins. Also, you can tell a friend to check out the show, like when you're driving around at night, going to 7-Eleven, or wherever your convenience store of choice is. You can find the show notes for this episode in your podcast app of choice, or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/80. I think that's it.
I think we got it.
We should just have like a 10-second silence, and I think that's it.
Yeah, you should put that in there. You got to put that in there.
Hey, a lot of people don't know this.
I don't know if you know this, but that's it.
Thanks so much for joining us this week on our epic adventure, True Lies. And stay tuned next week as we dive into the first of what will be many Patrick Swayze films with the Swayze classic Next of Kin. Don't miss out. Thanks so much for listening, folks, and we'll see you next time. So I didn't have anywhere else to go. So I was like, I'm gonna go down to Cumbies, watch my movie, get me some pizza sticks, whatever.
Hey, a lot of people don't know this, but this is where we end the show.